All right, and welcome back to On Location. It's a pleasure to have you here today. So when I started planning this video, I was thinking I want to show you how spring is coming and there's flowers blooming. I discovered we're not quite there yet, but we're getting there. But I'm going to take you to some place that we've been to before, but I think it's really given it a different feel in these shots. It's actually near Carter's Lake, up near in northern Georgia, north central Georgia. And if you're on YouTube, you can click the tab or the little card up there and watch that old video to see how that was. More of a winter shoot. But this one, I think it's a little bit of a unique thing. So let me throw some pictures up on there, and make sure if you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe to the video or like or follow, depending on what platform you're on. Really appreciate it. Really helps things out. But I'm going to start with this one right here. And this is actually on the drive up. And there's these beautiful rolling hills, and it's starting to turn really green. No flowers yet, but very, very green. And I actually had to stop the car in the middle of the road. There's no one luckily behind me. And actually, I quickly shot this through the windshield. But I think it turned out really nicely. Really gives you that feel that I'm talking about there. Those rolling, peaceful hills. I think really sets your mood at ease there. Hopefully there's not too much of a green tint. I had to get some of that out due to the tint of the windshield, but I think that was a nice one there. But once we arrived, I decided to go actually to a waterfall. This particular lake was actually was created by a dam. So there used to be a lot of rivers, waterfalls. This is one of the few ones that's remaining there. And we went ahead and did this first one here. I love this kind of mystical mist. I guess I can call it mystical if that's too many M's, but I love this particular shot, this nice wide shot, and I tried to give it a sepia tone to kind of give it that almost, a little bit of a wild, old-fashioned country look there, and I think that was really successful. Really sets the mood of this place. It's pretty remote, but also easily accessible. It's kind of the best of both worlds there, so that one was particularly nice. But then we started zooming in on the particular details here of the falls, and the light was going in and out, so you might see some brighter ones or some softer ones. A lot of these are going to be the softer ones, though. And this one I think worked out really, really well. I like the composition. You have that tree up there in the upper right-hand corner, and then you have that nice kind of blue water flowing through. It's just, it kind of creates, a little bit of fun for your eye to bounce around, create some interest there. It's also very peaceful, which is definitely the vibe you get, especially in these more remote places there. But I'll go ahead and advance to the next one. This particular one right here is of the same area, but I went ahead and did a vertical one. It wasn't quite working for me in that same color one, so what I went ahead and did it in black and white, and we actually went ahead and started darkening the corners a little bit to really focus your attention in. I like the way this one turned out a lot. It's kind of moody, really a lot like the other one. It makes your eye bounce around, but it's done in a different way. So I really like that particular one there. But then I went to more the white water because, it's cascading waterfalls. You have the smoothness of the water, the clearness, plus you have the white water. This one is virtually all white water there. And you can see a little bit of green starting to peek through. Not quite there yet, but maybe some inspiration there. Of course, we have the branch there that's not yet filled in. But, an advantage right here is you can get that bare branch across the frame and create some interest, whereas maybe a month or so from now, that's going to be full of leaves and this scene will be blocked. So, there's pluses and minuses there shooting this time of year. But again, that mist really drew me in. So I went ahead and zoomed in. I got the telephoto lens out and said, let's really zoom in there and see here. And these almost look like it's not even a waterfall, almost looks like a snowy landscape. And there was no snow around in this particular area this time. But I really I just kept dragging the exposure out, which I could do because it was a little bit, the light was fairly soft. It wasn't direct sunlight. And it's just this whoosh that kind of blowing across the frame there, and really sets a unique mood. Something I wasn't expecting that when I got there. I thought I might be photographing the waterfall with some flowers next to it or something, but not. No, we had to go with what you got, and this I think worked out well. But talking about greenery, this next one here, I love. There's like a little bit of green almost hanging on. There's this massive force of water. In fact, if you look closely, you'll see the branch is a little bit blurred there at the end, which didn't actually bother me too much because I think it adds to kind of the drama of the scene. And like literally, it's like you're hanging on there with a little twig, and you hope, gosh, I hope we can make it. So I thought that was added that nice mood there to the image. And I kept, again, focusing on these little features in the water, but the sun did start to come out. You'll see in these next couple shots. This one, it's literally just the formations the water was making. There might have been a rock back there in this particular one that was helping shape, but literally it was just the way the water was flowing and the way there were some trees nearby. It was the way the light was shining through the tree and created this little sparkle and little glow in different parts, created patterns on the water. Light really does, in a way, create composition. It's not just literally where things physically are, it's the way the light shines on them and the way those things react because of the light. That creates composition too, and that's a perfect example of that in this shot here. Now this one here is probably a little bit more of the shapes actually creating the composition. I'm calling it, almost reminded me when I saw this, it's like, it must be like the Stairway to Heaven, because that, not the song, the my version of it anyway. Just the glow of the water there is creating those steps, and then you have that nice green, and it's we are it's getting to spring now, so you do see in there that some of the greenery is starting to pop out. So I think that's appropriate. There's enough green there and the brightness. I think it's creating that nice, as I say, Stairway to Heaven look that I'm talking about. I go ahead and rotated my camera back towards the falls, away from the edge of the falls. And I got these couple detail shots here, zoomed in on the waterfall. And I think in this first one here, you have that little branch sticking up from the right-hand corner. It creates, it's just a nice composition, and of course you have that blur there of the water, very peaceful to look at. Not sure what much more you can say about that one. Now the next one there, you do see there off in the right-hand corner some branches with, you can barely see it, there are some flowers that are starting to peek in there, and I imagine if I'm there in a couple weeks from now, those things might be blooming, so maybe I'll be back, but just just a simple, nice composition there that was kind of nice. Now these next couple ones just kind of show the force of the falls. You have this one here, and a lot of trees and whatnot will actually fall into the falls if that's too many falls there for you. And this one was kind of a nice composition. You've got that, you have the two different trunks there, or branches. Like definitely the one on the back is a trunk. Kind of the majesty of that, holding on amidst the force of the water. Then you have one there in the middle that wasn't quite so lucky. It's not holding on quite as well. I imagine that will be shifted down the falls there before too long. So it kind of shows you the power there of these particular falls. This next one, again, you also have the power of the falls there in the background with the rocks, but I kind of liked how the greenery there was in the top center part of the frame, gives it a nice contrast. It's both powerful but also peaceful at the same time. They coexist there together. It's not too overwhelming. So I thought that was a nice contrast there. Now kind of wrapping up here, just a couple other detail shots. I'll show you this one here, the close-up there, very, very close-up of the falls. When you're there, I was probably there, 45 minutes to an hour, and virtually the same spot. I did walk around a little bit, but not too far. And you see these patterns start to form in the water because the way the rocks are aligned, the way the water starts to move left to right or around something. This is a perfect example of this. In this case, that white water is just surrounding those particular little rocks there, that golden look. Basically it's a lesson in composition and just creating beautiful symmetries and things like that. I tried to accentuate the colors a little bit to bring some of that out. I did increase those oranges a little bit there. And of course the blue there on the water popped that out a little bit, but I think it worked out nicely. Now this next one actually turned out pretty well. As I said, the light was going in and out. In this particular area, honestly looked a little bit murky, a little bit dull, but the light hit it just right. Did a few exposures. This is one of them there. Had a little bit of trouble getting those branches to stop moving. I think we had a little bit of blur, but not too bad on this one. And it's like, just you could imagine seeing this sitting up in your lodge there in the mountains. There's maybe a painting or a photograph on the wall that looks similar to this. Just a quintessential kind of a country mountain shot there, and I was really, it works. So why not show it to you there? And let me go ahead and I'll show you this last one here. It looks like a gigantic wall of water. I'm actually shooting down onto it. This is the kind of a stream, and it's just coming up to the falls. So it's actually not vertical. Perhaps I deceived you a little bit there, but sometimes we deceive in photography. I loved how those branches kind of came in there, framed it, and it's just, you know, like boom in your face. There it is. That majesty and that power there, but also beauty of these particular falls. And I think that's kind of the nice contrast I was trying to get at here. Even though I went there for kind of a different reason, maybe a much more beautiful, flowery, you know, happy-go-lucky look, but you know, you have to shoot what you see. And this is an example of that, and I think it worked out very, very well. These particular shots, when it works, this was taken over a period of, oh gosh, maybe a couple hours, with the exception of that first one when I was driving up. So sometimes you have great success, you get it done, boom, 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 boom. Sometimes it takes you weeks, just depends on the particular subject, conditions, what have you. So get out there if you can, bring your camera, go out there in the wilderness around your neighborhood, take pictures of what you see. You might be surprised with what you get. So definitely appreciate you watching. Make sure to like the video, subscribe if you're on YouTube, follow if you're looking at this on Facebook, what have you. And do appreciate you watching on location. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.